Hello, hello, and welcome back to the grand finals of the SC2 GeForce Pro-Am. Second place is $3,150.
Yes.
And a top-of-the-line NVIDIA graphics card. First place is $4,725.
That sounds right. I
Yeah,
love those numbers we came up with.
That's
Like,
tough.
now, if you win first place, you get $4,716.78.
It's like playing Monopoly. Only Boardwalk has that nice, even, round price to it.
Oh, man, that's going to make some people go absolutely crazy. But regardless, MMA currently up 1-0, spawning down in the bottom center. And he only has to win one best of 5. So we could either see 9 more games, or we could only see, is it 2 more games? Yes. So there is a wide spectrum in this because it is going to be MMA has to win 1 best of 5, MVP has to win 2. And that's who you're looking at up here in the top center.
Now, MVP did a remarkable job holding on. He was incredible at not dying, but not dying is not the way to win. You want to figure out ways to put pressure back on your opponent, to have a little bit more resilience in the early game. So even though MVP had a good recovery, he's going to need to rethink that early build a little bit. Looks like both players are building that barracks first, and I just cannot quite believe how useful every single unit is in this matchup. You can make any opening work. There are even Ghost Rush openings that are brutal in this matchup.
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. And I've seen players like the little one, even Boxer, going just crazy TBT openings. They're always so fun. Yeah, they're like, oh, he's getting a barracks, a factory, and a starport. I still have absolutely no idea what he's going to do, just because there are so many options, and especially with the cross positions that we're seeing out of these players, that does mean we could see any amount of openings, or we could just see lots of Marines and tanks like usual. But the chances of drops early on are going to be a little bit lessened, and the effectiveness of Banshees slightly lessened because of their long distances away from each other.
Now, it looks like MMA will be going for an early expand with a fast factory. Whereas if we look over at MVP, it looks like he's just going to go for a straight early expand. We see no gas geysers taken. He could go for a double refinery afterwards, but he still won't get his factory up at as even a timing as MMA will, with that very delayed barracks on 15.
That poor little scouting SCV does get taken out before he spots anything. However, he did see exactly what the wall-in is, so he knows a little bit. I mean, just being able to see that wall-in does tell you the potential of what your opponent's going to do. The SCV for MMA actually making it a little bit deeper inside of his opponent's base, but at this point, we see a tech lab versus a command center. What are you expecting out of here, Sean?
This is a wild and weird and wacky way to open for MMA. That is just very, very uncommon. Wow, and a Reaper now. Whoa! You see, if you build a refinery on 15, you have 100 gas and 150 minerals right after you build your early command center. It's a very common timing that Bomber popularized. But but MMA is somehow going for this like delayed speed Reapery kind of thing. And given the fact that he's still saving up money, it looks like, wow, yeah, he does want to go for a 3 barracks play. And I think we might actually see Bio versus Bio. MVP, though, playing as standard can be.
Yep, upgrading the orbital right now, and the expansion for MMA is slightly hidden. Do you think he's going to take his natural, or is this just to hide it? Is he going to take the island? Is he going to take the high yield? The suspense is killing me, Sean. Any predictions?
I am almost certain he will be taking his natural expansion. It makes very little sense to me to get a command center so fast and then just kind of float to the island where you can't defend it if he does something as simple as get a Banshee.
Yeah.
And it looks like MMA going to try to be a little sneaky with that Reaper. Just make sure nothing is too significant over to that backside. We see Combat Shield coming up very, very early. And from MVP, Combat Shield's coming up very early, but with that early geyser, we see MMA was able to start it quite a bit earlier. Wow, 4 barracks. This is just plain outright weird, Mike.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see exactly what's going to be happening here. It does look like the Reaper has made it away from that initial portion. So decided to throw his grenades at the high yield.
Oh, he's taking the gold. That's why he's getting that fast Reaper. Is it so he can take down the destructible debris? That would be an awesome way to open. Really fast gold base. Oh, MMA. Oh, really fast gold base. MVP.
Sean, maybe we are seeing the metagame shift right before our eyes on this map, and I'm honestly not too surprised to see like players try to do things like this, because I remember back when Metalopolis first came out, all the Terran players, man, they were lifting off, flying to that high yield right at the start, and you can get a huge lead here, but if both players are doing it, it's very interesting. I do like this out of MVP. He actually dropped a mule and is mining there, but that's not even a long distance mining for that mule, so that's really cool stuff out of both players. There goes the 2 mules now, and we are going to see a very odd game here moving forward.
I just kind of feel like wiggling around in my chair and being like, Husky, the meta game is shifting. Like, this is an absolutely bonkers game. MVP, though, always has a very stable, calm transition, a calm underpinning to whatever he ends up doing. MMA getting the extra barracks up, but, you know, we see MVP, and he's just calmly going straight for the medevacs as is expected, almost playing it off like he didn't ever take a gold in the first place. But I'm really excited to see this clash of styles. Both are going bio in a very different way. I would anticipate that MMA will be going either for a very, very fast push right when he gets stim, or he's going to be playing hyper defensively.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I mean, just looking at that production tab, you do see that the stim is earlier, but he doesn't have a +1 attack on the way, so he's going to be using those resources on the additional units, and is, I believe, throwing down 2 engineering bays right now, but is he actually going to sit back before these upgrades, you know, finish and wait until they are done? It's just going to have to wait and see, but I think he's going to have a chance here to really put on the heat, especially since his opponent is seemingly... Is he making a command center there, or did he already finish it? I think he wanted to make one, but then decided not to.
I don't quite know how I feel about the starting and then not building, but whatever. MVP now adding on his additional barracks. Continuing to prod on forward. Does have those 2 medevacs out. They are essentially dead even in terms of marine count, but in production, MMA has a little bit better production, is just now getting that chance to begin making medevacs of his own. Spreading out his supply depots, very cool. This will allow him to do some spotting for any drops that come in relatively cheaply. He doesn't have to spend scam.
Yep, absolutely. The Reaper's still in on this, which is actually a pretty interesting dynamic, because we're just going to see Marine versus Marine. And I have to be honest, Sean, Mass Marine versus Mass Marine is one of my biggest guilty pleasures ever, because it's just so hilarious to watch them. You have no idea what's going to happen until there's like 4 Marines left.
It's almost as awesome as Muta versus Muta in StarCraft 1, where all the Mutalisks would stack, and you could never quite tell if he had 12 or 40 Mutalisks because they were all in one tight, packed lump. And you would just engage, and they'd kill each other so slowly, and they'd be wailing and wailing and wailing, and you'd be like, oh, I guess I lost by like 15 Mutalisks. Ah.
Oh, darn. And back then, spectators could only select 1 unit at a time. Oh, the Reaper does get taken out before being able to scout in the main, but seeing only Marines and medevacs is going to tell him everything that he needs to know. I believe +1 attack will be done for both players by the time this engagement begins. Oh no, it's going to be 1-1 for MMA. The timing of that may be absolutely brutal. Oh, this is such a tense moment. That 1-1 is so close to being done.
Oh, 10 more seconds.
Wait just a couple more seconds for it to finish, and then he will be able to crush this army. And MVP may not realize that the upgrades are done. It's done. Oh, no. MVP stims and runs into it. He needs to click on these Marines and see that he is vastly out-upgraded. But is he going to have enough here? I don't think so. And there he goes. He's going to have to retreat. The stim being used by MMA to try and chase this down. He's going to get a couple medevacs here. And it looks like MVP is going to lose this very one-sided.
Wow.
Upgrades are pretty damn good, Sean.
This game is silly, Husky. He's now rushing up, picking off all the medevacs one at a time. And back home, he's making Marines and medevacs and upgrades. We see him continuing to push forward, trying to get in a good position. MVP is remarkably resilient. And does MMA, wow, doesn't even know about that expand at all.
He's gotta have a feeling, because he saw that expansion, I believe, I mean, that wasn't just then, so maybe he has no idea about this because he's not running up there. And he's got to wonder where all those units came from. Looks like he's going to be securing his own natural right here, and just continued massive Marine production, but also working on vehicles, weapons level 1, which splash damage is a good old-fashioned way of taking out Marines.
Yeah, I mean, just getting a siege tank, but that's one of the funny aspects about this matchup, is that a lot of times no one wants to be the first to step away, and it looks like, oh no, MMA cornering himself, but is it worth it? He might be able to take out the gold expansion, but no, MVP has so many more Marines. MMA is going to be forced to run, just take some massive losses here.
That's got to be a horrible feeling as a Marine where you're in a big battle, your numbers are getting whittled down, your best friends are dead, and on top of that, the medevacs have begun leaving before everyone is dead. So,
reminds
you
me of
know...
that heartbreaking scene from Starship Troopers.
Absolutely. Now, MMA still ahead in the supply. He just needs to make sure not to get too many tanks, because if he is forced to engage in unsiege mode, then that's not going to be good for him. But if he can get that splash damage rolling, then he is going to be in wonderful shape.
You see that these supply depots have not really gotten the chance to be that useful this game, as MVP is just opting on direct engagements, but we see siege tanks and siege modes from both players, and amazingly MVP has not even decided to get any add-ons yet for those barracks, so it actually looks like fewer barracks for MMA, although he does have slightly better production.
Now this depot is going to reveal what the army is and where it's at. So this high yield expansion is going to be under fire soon. If the siege tanks are positioned perfectly on this ledge, it could be tough to defend against. That is only 2 tanks though. Here comes MMA's army, a very tense moment. Is it worth sacrificing this army to save the expansion? He decides, no it is not. I'm going to go ahead and do the counterattack. At least get center map control to try and pick off these reinforcements. And it does look like the siege tanks, of course, can't shoot air, but are preventing mining there. So it does look like you may be able to resecure this though.
There the Marines are sprinting up in total domination there. Obliterates that without too much of a problem. And +3 for MMA coming up. You know, I actually think that that's going to be the big tide turner. We do see that it's just level 2 upgrade coming in just now for MVP, and 2-2 is done for MMA. I mean, if you have 3-3 Marines versus 1-1 Marines, that is horrific.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. Especially at the rate of fire they have. And if it's continued just to be Marines versus Marines, siege tanks slowly now working their way into this army, but +2 weapons on these tanks nearly done. MMA really pressing his advantage. Can he continue here? Just 1 or 2 shots on these tanks would be huge, and he does get 2 nice shots. But there are 4 tanks in there, so they were able to soften the remainder of that. And MMA is going to crush through this army, and there's the good game
again
from MVP. MMA showing us some awesome play styles, some awesome openers, and he is able to make them work. So MMA sitting in a really good spot here. He is 1 game away from winning this, Sean.
That is kind of incredible to see MMA doing some slightly off-the-cuff, unusual decision-makings, and absolutely crushing the straight-up, pure hallmark of standard that is IMMvp's play. I'm really excited to see if he can close out with a 3-0 finish. That would mean that MMA dominated this tournament. And, you know, even if he loses the next 3 games straight, he still has a little bit of cushion room. So let's hop into game number 3 and see if MMA can do it and win that nearly $5,000 in cash and prizes first place right after this.